Hello and welcome to another video, and it's really hot again. So the clue on the Sunday video was the brochure that was sitting up on here. Today we are looking at Ingatestone Hall, and I had a very pleasant afternoon there on a guided tour. Went in there, got my little sticker, walked around with a little sticker on. That is to show that I did go in, because I did not take any photos while I was in there. It does say you can't take photos, so I didn't. And then I noticed everybody else was filming and taking photos as I left. And I did ask the lady if I could take one photo. And she said yes, but don't put it on social media. And I was like, well, I'm going to make a YouTube video of it, so I better not, because I'll be tempted to do it. And then I could get in trouble. And then I'll come home and looked on YouTube, and loads of people have filmed going around there. So I felt a bit of an idiot, really. But we stuck to it. And mainly, it doesn't really matter, because what we're talking about is mainly the outside of the hall and certain areas that you'll see when we come to it. But yeah, again, thank you for your support. Hope you like the little extra video I put out this morning. I've got some others that I may just pop out whenever, because I've got so many little stories that may not always fit into the whole narrative of the channel that we do. Nor it's got a lot of history on them or something like that. And I'm not going to say I'm going to try and wind back on the history of stuff that I do, but not all of them have a big chunk of history, especially if you're just talking about a field in the middle of nowhere where something is happening. You may not always get that bulk of history. The other one I've got is another time slip, but it's a bit more dark, so I may do that one and put that out as soon as possible. But today we are looking at Ingatestone Hall. And as I say, it is very hot today, and all my windows are open and people are having fun outside, and I'm stuck in here doing this video. But no, and I didn't put deodorant on this time, and people didn't see today's video. I ain't gonna know what I'm on about, but yeah, as you can hear, my neighbours are having great fun. But yeah, Ingatestone Hall, so literally the other side of Biriki, heading up towards Ingatestone Village, you go through and you come across this rather stunning building. And what I'm going to say is that I'm not going to say it looks out of character. When you drive through that building, a lot of the buildings around there sort of prepare you for what you're about to see as you enter Ingatestone Hall. What I was aware of is a number of ghost stories that are linked to Ingatestone Hall. Yeah, the Petre, and especially John Petre, who owns it at the moment, doesn't believe that it's haunted at all. And when questioned about that, and they said, how do you know it's not haunted? He said, well, I've lived here for 75 years. And this is on a YouTube video that somebody done just a little tour with him, and I picked up on that. And he just says, yes, there are strange things that go on, but people always jump to the conclusions that it's like the most outrageous conclusion, basically. Ghosts. But that doesn't stop the historic stories that are meant to have caused these ghosts, and one of them is linked to his family line. Well, two of them are linked to his family line. Now, a little bit about Ingatestone Hall. So I am going to cheat. I'm going to read off of my laptop. I made loads of notes, and for once I'm putting my notes on my laptop so I can save them, and they're not going to be on a bit of paper that are going to a bundle and I'm going to lose. So this is what a little bit of background I'm going to give you now. So in about 950 AD, King Edgar granted some land to some people. And what we have down here, it says, granted to the Abbey of Our Lady St Ethelberg of Barking the lands of Yen at Stone. And that is where you get Ingatestone from now. So that's how it's changed over. Over the years, this land changed a little bit of in different hands. But a building was built on where the site of the Abbey is now. So Abbey, it's not. I mean Ingatestone Hall, where the hall is built now. And it was meant to be not a grandeur house, but it was meant to be quite a nice building. Over a period of time, we're looking, up till Henry VIII, so we're skipping through 500 years of history that a house has been on that site. And then you've got Henry VIII comes in, and this was a Catholic site. he gets rid of the monasteries. Now this land had been granted, this was all Catholic nuns. All Catholic nuns lived on that land. So in 1535, Henry VIII ordered Thomas Cromwell to go around and start winding down the monasteries. And when we think about the monasteries being demolished and taken over, we think it was sort of like a brutal attack. It wasn't. A lot of these were easy transfers over without any form of bloodshed, and money was exchanged for taking over the goods or in kind. So basically you move out and we won't do anything to you and you can carry on living your happy life. During this time, Thomas Cromwell had to do quite a lot. So he brought on board somebody called William Petre, and he was from Devon, and he was a lawyer, and he was there to help take over these lands and everything. And he managed to wangle his way of getting Ingatestone Hall, or what was to become Ingatestone Hall. Now, from what I understand, and I'm making my own conclusions here, William Petre was basically Blackadder. The guy, nothing stuck to him. He got away with everything. First of all, he was a Catholic, and when he got this land, and he had the house all rebuilt, I think he bought the house for about £840, which was a lot of money back then. So he was a Catholic. No one really knew that he was a Catholic, but things he just dodged. He was very quiet, got on with the job and nothing like that. But over the years, they sheltered some Catholic priests. Ingatestone Hall actually has 2 priest halls as well. So as you go around, and as I say, I did do the tour, and the tour guide was absolutely fantastic. I found out something about myself. I'm the worst person to have on a tour of a historical house for night, some background information on it, that then thinks he knows it all and probably annoys everybody else on the tour, and we keep bringing up ghosts and adding bits to it, and I just need to learn to shut up when I'm on this thing, just listen. But I can't help myself. Their history is absolutely fantastic. Not every tour guide is going to know every single piece of history around it. This family also owned Thorndon Hall, so John Petre, who owns it now, his direct ancestors lived at Thorndon Hall, and I've done a video on Thorndon Hall, and you know about the quite a tragic history about that, but I didn't want to bring that up while I was on the tour. But again, we go back to the priests. There are 2 priest halls, and they did actually look after a number of priests. Now, they weren't there as priests, they were there and employed them as servants, but they were allowed to, they actually were their priests, and they'd have the little hidey holes, so if they got caught, if people visit the house, they could hide in them. They didn't get caught in the way you'd think. They didn't just turn up out of the blue. One of the servant workers at Ingatestone dobbed them in and reported them. And one of those priests were John Payne, which is probably the most famous priest execution that we sort of know of. And he was executed in 1582. And he's not the only person that was actually linked to executions from this building. So we have the 3rd Earl of Derwentwater. He was executed at Tower Hill. Now, he was a sort of like a distant cousin of the family, and he stayed at Ingatestone Hall. And in Ingatestone Hall now, you have the uniform and the poem that his speech that he read at the gallows at Tower Hill. Now, the outfit he was executed in is on display, and which was the only photo I did ask to take. And that was when she said about not using on social media, so I didn't take it. But I have found one on the internet, and it is said that the marks around the collar is actually from the blood of where he had his head cut off. And I say, I've seen this video where John Petre, the Lord now at the moment, he sort of mocks it and said, I've not actually had any DNA test on it, but yes, it probably is blood. So now it's about time we talk about the first ghost. And this is going to be really trashed by anyone who lives or has ever lived at Ingatestone Hall, because the first ghost is said to be William Petre. So we're going way back in history, and he's meant to haunt where there was, so if you look at the building now, there used to be a great hall in front. So you've got, looks like a little courtyard as you walk up to it, but that used to be a main hall in front of it. So there's a complete square. He set a halt along that track of where the hall used to be. So during his time, you would be able to walk down across that courtyard without being outside. So what are the ghost reports we have of him? It actually comes from staff members, and nearly all these reports of ghosts around Ingatestone come from staff members and not people who live there. And I think it's the, if it's your own home, you may not want to admit that your house is haunted. As John Petre says, everything that it creaks is put down to some sort of paranormal thing. But staff have said when they're finishing up and they're leaving that building at night time, they look back over their shoulder and they see, and now don't forget you've got paintings of William Petre in there. They say they see a figure who looks like William Petre walking along that forecourt. Now, you take that with a grain of salt, pinch of salt, whatever. I get it that if you're working in a building like that your mind may play tricks on you and you're surrounded all day by these paintings of these people, but they're all identifying this one person, William Petre. Why would William Petre haunt that place? Well, passion. He loved it. That was his handiwork. It's what he created. You know, he was, as I say, he was like Blackadder. Nothing stuck to him. He got away with everything. And this was his prized possession. He's handed it down through his family over a generation, over hundreds and hundreds of years. This goes on to be in that Petre family. So it's actually quite impressive. Is he sitting there now overlooking the Petre family, making sure they don't get up to no mischief? But also it brings you up to the second ghost. And that is the family dog. Now this black dog, and I said I was going to talk about a black beast in this black dog was a mongrel, and one of the Peters was walking through, at that time he was the Lord Petre, was walking through, this was either Lime Walk or the Red Cedar Walk. Most people say it was the Lime Walk, and you go down and you can see I'm walking down Lime Walk now in this video, and it has a feeling about it. Now Lime Walk is, no one really knows the date of it. They know it's there in the 1700s. There are records that this Lime Walk had been there before as just the walk, and that is what people think. So you're going back to like 1200s, so it's a long time that this place has been there. What we have, the Lord is walking down Lime Walk, and a group of people break into the field and come across and start attacking him. The dog, the family dog, this black mongrel, fights them off and saves his life. Now, it doesn't state if, and the tour guide didn't know this neither, she doesn't know if the dog died of its injuries there or it died later on. But from that moment on, it is said that this black dog is meant to walk up and down Lime Walk, protecting anybody walking down there, or any members of the family walking down there. Now this brings about the ghost sightings of this dog. Now there are numerous sightings of this dog over the 30, 40, 50 years. The one that stuck with me, and the one that I'm going to tell you about now, comes from a young lad, well was a young lad then, that lives in Ingatestone. Now he was up there on an event, and it was like a Tudor reenactment sort of thing, and he's wandered off on his own. Now there's a big lily pond around there, and it's an absolutely stunning lily pond. And by the way, Andy the gardener, this little clip here is for you, and you tell me what they are. Here's a little clip for Andy the gardener. Have you ever seen these before? Look at the spikes on them. You got these down on land. Oh, dragonflies. Look at the dragonflies. in the fish game. Some really big dragonflies there as well. So this bit's just for Andy. And thank you for keeping mentioning me in your videos. So Andy the Gardener, I'm going to mention you in your comments. Tell me what they are. I don't know what they are. And if anyone else knows what it is, put it in there as well. See if you agree with Andy. So anyway, getting back to this young lad. He's on a Tudor reenactment day. And he's walking around the lily pond. He is dressed up himself. So he's got like a Tudor's child outfit on. And he's wandering off and he's gone down Lime Walk. And he's just walking down there. He says that at the end of the walk, he sees this black dog sitting there. And first of all, he's a little bit scared, a little bit nervous of it. And then he carries on walking down. The dog gets up and walks up to him. And he comes right up close to him. And he's stroking the dog. And he didn't think there's nothing strange about it or anything like that. But then he turns and he's going to walk back up to where he's meant to be. And the dog starts following him. At that time, people come round, and it's obviously been missed. People come round and see him walking back up. He's going, oh, look at the dog, look at the dog. And he sees the dog. The people that have come to find him can't see the dog he's pointing at. As he gets closer, he looks back down and the dog disappears. But there was a point where he's saying, look at the dog, and they're looking at him and they can't see this dog. He went away and he spoke to other people around there, and they're saying, no, he was saying he sees his dog and all that. And that is when they got told by people at the event about the dog at Lime Walk. Now, there is a picture of this dog inside the building with the dog's name. And me and the tour guide, we was trying to read the name of the dog on it, but we couldn't really work it out. It had the little drawing was by, but we couldn't work it out. And he does say it's a mongrel dog. So it's sort of like, looks like a cross between like a Labrador and a Collie. And it's got a very grey face on it. So, yeah, it's not the only time this dog is seen. Now, if I'm going to doubt a story I'm going to tell you, it's probably going to be this one here. This comes from people on a film crew. Now, Ingatestone Hall has been used in a lot of TV shows and films, things the Windsors, and they keep going about this Harry Enfield one that was filmed there. But it's been used quite a lot, and especially like Lovejoy. Apparently all the indoor scenes in Lovejoy were filmed there. During that time, some cameramen were having a bit of a set to, and they take the argument off set and they go down Lime Walk. And they are literally knocking chunks out of each other. They say that this black dog comes out of the middle of nowhere, jumps on them, and basically separates them. And they're either side of it, and he's just growling, really as they think he's going to attack them and rip them apart. As they're sort of like they're shaking and thinking, what they do, we've got a bit attacked by this dog. The dog vanishes in front of them. They go back and they report it back to people at the set, and again someone there tells them about the ghost of the black dog. Why do I doubt it? Is it because it's a TV show and all that sort of stuff? They'd never mention it in any of the TV shows or anything like that, but maybe they knew more of the history of this building than they let on, and they come up with a story just to wind other people up on the set, because apparently they were meant to be working there overnight. They're filming overnight there, so it's going to be a bit creepy anyway. Maybe they're just trying to wind people up. Not so much in the next one, and this is quite ironically, they're just doing a craft fair up there this weekend. So as I speak, they're probably all closing up now. But there was a fete up at Ingatestone Hall, and a concert, a music event. A concert and a music event. And a young couple are walking down Lime Walk, and it was a very, very pleasant summer's evening, and they're walking down there. And very much like the young boy, they see the dog at the end of the path. This dog just gradually walks up the path to them. And they said as the dog got closer to them, there was like an energy that came from the dog. They felt reassured, really, really calm, as if this dog meant nothing but love and affection. And they said, really weird, they describe it as a cosy feeling. And I sort of get with animals, yes, you know when an animal is kind and it's loving. This dog walks up to them, it licks the hand of the girl, and then carries on walking. They turn around and the girl said, "Oh my God, what a lovely dog." As she does that, the dog, as it's just walking past them, fades away. And they're in shock. They can't believe what they've just seen. But again, it falls right into this thing about this black dog. Other staff that have been working around there, like the gardeners, say they catch a glimpse of this black dog when they're pruning up around the lily pond. They say they look over and they see this black dog almost sitting on guard in that lime walk, as if it's waiting to protect anybody who walks down there. Is he still there trying to protect the family from harm? Now, is he attracted to kind people? Now, the boy got a nice reception. The two lovers, or boyfriend, girlfriend, young couple, got a nice reception. The two BBC cameramen did not get a nice reception, but they were being aggressive and violent while they were down there. Okay, we are sticking with Lime Walk and Red Cedar Walk. Now, Lime Walk goes down the back end of the pond, the lily pond, and Cedar Walk comes back along the other side of the pond. They're both linked with the same ghost, not just the dog. This is a lady, a grey lady, that is seen walking along Lime Walk and turning off and heading down Cedar Walk. And she again has been seen by staff members. They're out there cutting the grass. This is their gardener, and he, you look at their grass, it is lovely, so you can tell that these gardeners are out there all the time maintaining the land. He's out there, he looks over to Cedar Walk, and through the gaps in the trees he sees this grey lady walking along in a long grey dress, just heading off into Lime Walk direction. He's thinking, that's strange, no one is meant to be at the house today, and the house is open to visitors, but there's no one there meant to be there at all that day. He gets up and looks down Cedar Walk, and right at the far end he sees the lady turning into Lime Walk, and he's thinking, well, I'm just going to walk along the lily pond, go up, and she'll be coming out that end where I've just come from. So literally he goes to cut her off at Lime Walk. He gets there well before she could have finished walking up Lime Walk, and he's waiting, and she never comes up. So he thinks she must have doubled back. He goes back out, and you are milliseconds away. You can look out through those trees and see the other side of Cedar Walk, and she doesn't come through. He goes back over, and he's literally only halfway over to the lily pond, heading towards Cedar Walk, where she appears out of Lime Walk, where he just come from, and there's no way she could have been there, heads over the footpath, and then disappears, heading towards the house. And he thinks that she's gone into the building. He follows the tracks of where she's just gone, and there's no one there. All the gates were still locked, so she could not have got through the area. He's a bit puzzled by this, but puts it down to maybe it was someone the family know. Now, again, the family do live there. John Petre didn't live there at the time. This was his son, so the son took it over. Well, they let the son live there. They've got a flat there apparently, and he just thought maybe it's someone that the son had coming over. But so he just left it. A couple of months later, he's back out there. It is now winter time, and he's out there not really doing much. He's just checking around to make sure everything isn't being damaged by the winds and all that. He's walking down Lime Walk, where he sees this lady walking up towards him, and it's the same lady he has seen before. But before he can even get words out to say anything to her, she vanishes in front of him. This time it really creeps him out. he literally was looking straight at her as she faded away into just nothing. And he comes back, he says to people, I've seen the ghost. They laugh at him, and I say, this is normally kept between the staff. This doesn't make it up to the family level because the family don't believe in ghosts. And if their son, I think it's their son Patrick at the moment, I can't remember, if they hear about it and they don't believe in ghosts, then actually, what is the son's name? He's on here. Dominic Petre. So I'll stick the proper photos up on there. Please, I've got the tour book. I paid £3.50 for this, might as well use it. But I've got to say, I don't normally go for the guided tours, and that's because I tend to know a lot about the history of the place I go to, and I'm not saying I know more than a tour guide. I know if it's a tour guide that is really embedded into that place, I'm well for it. They know all the little crooks and crannies and all that. This lady was fantastic. She was a really good tour guide. She had a really good personality, and yeah, she was fun, and she knew little odds and ends of like little quirky stories, and that makes what these tours are like. They're meant to be good, aren't they? They're meant to be fun, and I really appreciated her for doing that. And it £10.50 I think it was to go around the house, and it was worth it. Yeah, it is really worth it. So again, she knew of the dog. Now everyone at that hall knew about the ghost of the dog. They didn't know about this one. This one, what I'm telling you now about the lady, the grey lady, sticks up to her name. They believe, or people believe, this is Catherine Gray. Now Catherine Gray was held prisoner at Ingatestone Hall in 1564, and she was there for 2 years before being moved away, and she died in and she died in 1568. Only 4 years after she was there, she died. Now if you know that she was put there, I wouldn't say she was held as prisoner, she was put there to keep her out of the way. And if you look up Catherine Gray, you know all the story about Catherine Gray and the trouble she caused, the marriages and all that. She wasn't a troubled lady. She was used, and she didn't have a happy life. She was held there, and apparently she would take her daily walk down Lime Walk and down Cedar Walk before heading back up and then taking a walk along the long gallery inside. So when it was rainy, she would take a walk up and down the long gallery. Now this is where at the moment you have the costume, well it's not costume, the real execution outfit. This is where you have the real execution outfit. So that long gallery, people say that they're in there, they're looking at the exhibitions, and all of a sudden they'll turn around and they see a lady standing at the end of the long gallery, and she'll fade away. But they do describe her in a grey dress. I struggle with grey ladies. Why did it have to be grey? Someone explained to me, in the paranormal world, right, why do we call them grey? And this can be a really simple thing. Oh yeah, it's because they're made of mist and fade and there's not much colour and all that. But surely there's loads of reports of ghosts that are not just grey. And you know, the one at Whitstable, the old man's sitting on the end of the wall smoking his pipe. He wasn't grey. Apparently he was technicolour. But yeah, I don't get it. I don't get the grey stuff. But these are reports. I'm only relaying these reports to you. And again, but there's more and more sightings of her. So over 20 years, this lady has been seen a lot of times. Why did it trigger back up? Now, is it because more and more people were coming to visit? Once that property opened up for public, did something trigger her to haunt that area? Or was it that she was always there but not many people were around seeing her? Now most of this has been seen by the gardeners, so technically they're not, I mean they're the outside ones, but The ones in the long gallery are seen by guests. They're seen by guests, not the staff. But there is an interesting story that is a little bit more creepy. This one is from an old ghost book that was written in the 50s, and I don't actually have it to hand at the moment. It's downstairs. And when I go there and I turn around and tell them about these ghost stories, it's because obviously I've researched the place up front, and these people that are told these ghost stories back then have gone there and spoken to the people living at these properties and got it first hand. So when the family are not saying they don't know any ghost stories, someone at Ingatestone Hall back in the 50s relayed this ghost story that ended up in one of the ghost encyclopedias. So it states that Ingatestone Hall is haunted by a group of children and a grey lady that play along Lime Walk and Cedar Walk. I keep calling it Cedar Walk. I think it's Red Cedar Walk. But they are seen playing along that walk. They turned around and said that staff there often hear children's voices in that back area. They go out there, they can't see anything, but can hear voices of children running up and down, hearing a lady's voice tell them to go slowly. On the other part of that story, it says that a female staff member was walking along by that pond. She turns up Lime Walk, looks down there, and she sees these children running along, and she describes them in sort of like old Victorian dresses. Don't forget, they do have these fancy dress days. So it takes a few seconds for a mind to kick in that haven't got this fancy dress day going on. And she's looking down at these children just playing around in the lane. Then she notices this lady, all in grey, standing halfway up the lane, and she's just staring at them. She says she's fixated by them. And they're just happy, all playing around together. And as a group, the images become fainter and fainter and fainter, and the voices become really, really faint before they all vanished. And she's left there, but she said she wasn't scared. She said it was very, very peaceful. And they say it's the peaceful ghost sighting. The peaceful ghost sighting of Ingatestone Hall. I find that quite a intriguing little ghost story. So this is Catherine Gray. Look her up and do yourself a favour. Ingatestone Hall, I know it's £10.50 to go in, and you know some people may not be able to afford that, but you can walk around the grounds, and the grounds are stunning, and you can walk down Lime Walk and all that area. To go into the house, yes, it does cost, but there is a few other little funny stories I want to tell you as well. Now, have you ever heard of Marengo? Marengo the horse? See if you know who that is. It's Napoleon's horse. Now, Marengo, after being captured by the British Army, ended up at Ingatestone Hall being looked after by the 11th Lord. And outside the front here, I've got a little video clip of it and some photos. There's a mounting block. Now, this is where people, and apparently people were shorter back then, they would use this mounting block to get up onto the horses. And this is where Marengo was placed for the Earl to climb on top of the horse. So you've got Napoleon's horse being kept at Ingatestone Hall. And this is true. It's true. It's a true story. Which is quite fascinating. When you're standing there and looking at this site, this bit of history, and knowing that this took place, yeah, it's fascinating. That Napoleon's horse... Don't haunt it. I mean, it'd be good, wouldn't it, if it haunted it? But that said, that forecourt, well, just before, and again, this is interesting. This is what makes me think that some ghost stories have more credibility. So staff there back in the 70s, and I'm not sure how many there were back then, but they used to say they would hear carriage wheels come up to a certain point in that yard and stop. Where they would stop is where the old hall would be. So they don't hear them going any further than where that old hall would be. So back then, whenever the time these carriages are coming from, they couldn't go no further because that hall was there. Again, it adds credibility because there's something stopping them going further because they never could do that in their time. So why could they do that now? When it comes to little spooky things like that, a little bit of credibility helps to put a bit of foundation in. When I was researching Ingatestone Hall, I come across an old report of a ghost that actually isn't in the hall. And it is a ghost of a girl literally on the bend of where you turn into Ingatestone Hall. And this girl is said to be like the Phantom Hitchhiker. Now we get loads and loads of Phantom Hitchhikers. Probably one of the most common ghost reports that we get. But she's seen, and they say she's wearing 1960s outfit. So relatively modern sort of outfit. You know, compared to Ingatestone Hall at least. And as people come down that road and they take that bend where Ingatestone Hall is, they see her standing on that corner of that road, but only for a split second, then she disappears. As the headlights of the car hit her, she vanishes. Others say that if they see her there, as they go further up, they go onto Hall Lane, they see her again standing in Hall Lane. I can't find any record of what that could link to. Is it just a thrown in report on this? No, the paranormal database hasn't really got anything on Ingatestone Hall. I think it may have about the dog on there or something like that. Lucky enough, we've got these old books, like the Ghost Encyclopedias, Ghost Hunter's Guide to Essex, Victoria Payne or Jane Payne, whatever her name was, who done it. I've got loads of the old books. They're not newly written books, so they are all from 1920s, 1940s, 1950s, 1960s, up to about the latest one I think I've got is about 1997. So I purposely don't really buy books after that period of time because of most hauntings and all the ghost TV shows. I don't like buying them in case those stories have been put in there and it puts me off. Or if I do see something, I double check to make sure it hasn't come out of a TV show. Experience tells me not to. But okay, again, hope you like this video. There'll be one again on Friday. It's a very different video. Very different. It's probably the closest that I felt creepy. I will say that. I felt the next video you see, I felt really creepy filming it. Absolutely beautiful place. Oh, stunning. It just felt Children of the Corn, The Wicker Man, all those things. I ain't got a patch on this place. And I've got to be really careful how I word the next video. I don't want to upset people, but yeah, it's a strange one. But anyway, thank you for your support and all your kind comments, and yeah, they're brilliant. I will try to do some more London videos. Not doing London videos at the moment, only because it's so hot. I don't want to travel in London, and it's nice to do London when it's colder or cooler, and you can go around there. And also, I like it a little bit darker when I do London. It's more creepier, but yeah, and I've got to think of my own safety when I go around there. When I do London once, mainly I'm on my own, and yeah, I don't know, maybe it's safer in the summer. I don't know. London's London, isn't it? The East End. But I've got some London videos coming up. I've got those more local ones. I'm going further afield doing stuff. I've got loads of these little odd ghost stories. I don't have to just do smaller episodes or bundle a few in together and whatever. I don't know. We'll find out how we go along. But again, thank you for your support. Hit your notification bell. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe. 50% of the people who watch my videos are not subscribed. So please subscribe. It really helps me. We're only about 100 and something and off of 5,000 now. So we may make it by Friday. Who knows, eh? No, we won't do. But anyway, thank you. I keep waffling on. And it's going to be really hot tomorrow. Take care. And I've got to take care. I'm unloading the lorry tomorrow for someone. So anyway, waffling on again. Have a good evening. Bye.